Hi, this is Dave Specter with Chicago Blues Camp, and for this lesson we're going to be learning one of Muddy Waters' classic tunes, Blow Wind Blow, first recorded on Chess Records in 1953, and there's a very famous version of this as well on the Chess Fathers and Sons record, which was recorded in 1969. There are lots of great videos on YouTube of Muddy playing this live, almost always in the key of G. It's a classic Chicago shuffle, and it actually has a very interesting guitar part that we would call the head. The head arrangement in a song is basically a melody that kicks off the song, a theme that usually repeats once or twice at the beginning, once or twice at the end. Very common in jazz. When you hear a jazz tune, you generally hear the head played twice at the end, twice at the beginning, soloing or vocals in between. So the head arrangement on this, the melody, the main theme that Muddy plays on guitar, often accompanied by a harmonica player. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about some movable chord ideas, movable sevenths especially, which are so important in blues. And I'm going to give you a couple different rhythm guitar part options to play on this based on mostly what's played on the classic Muddy recordings. So again, it's played in G, and let's start out with that head arrangement, that melody, that main theme, and it involves double stops. Now, one thing, if you watch Muddy videos or listen to the recordings, Muddy almost always used a capo, so he could play an open position in different keys up and down the neck. We're going to learn this without a capo. So we're going to start with double stops on the 3rd fret in G, just barring those high 2 strings, and then we're keeping that bar down. And then our ring finger goes to the 5th fret B string, and our pinky or our ring finger, if you want to slide, goes to the 6th fret B string, and this remains a constant. That bar is always down at the 3rd fret. So the melody to Blow Wind Blow the head kind of goes like this. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3. Moves up to the 4. And that's the same pattern, just moved up to the 8th fret with the bar. 10B, 11B. And back to the 1. For the 5, something like that. When it goes to the 5, there's no exact way to play it, but it's just kind of a melody that sounds like. The main turnaround we're going to be using is but in rhythm it's going to be the turnaround we're going to be using 3rd fret, ring finger, D string, pinky, high E string. The pinky is not going to move, so you're just going to walk down the D string. 2nd fret, 1st fret, open. Resolve to a D7. So let's start talking about some of the movable 7th chords that are used in Blow Wind Blow. This D7 is a movable C7. You know, an open C, you make it a 7th. Pinky's on the G string, 3rd fret, and that's a movable chord. The root is here, there's your C, and here. Moving it up a full step, it becomes a D7. So we're going to use this D7 a lot to resolve the turnaround in Blow Wind Blow. We're also going to use the movable D7. Very, very important chord in blues. It's your open D7, and that's movable. So in the key of G, the way I think about moving it around, I play my G bar chord, 3rd, 4th, and 5th fret, and then I play the movable D7. I walked it up to the 6th and 7th fret. That's your open D7 at the 6th and 7th fret. And there it becomes a G7. So here's your G. There's your G7 using the movable D7. Now with Muddy Waters songs and so much other classic Chicago blues, you hear sounds like this. Okay, so just taking that movable D7, all downstrokes. Not required, but suggested. That's combining up and down. But I kind of like that intensity of all the downstrokes. The rhythm on Blow Wind Blow is a shuffle rhythm, what we would refer to in Chicago as a lump-de-lump. Some Chicago blues terminology there for a shuffle with this type of sound, where the rhythm is mainly just played on the lower strings of the guitar, 2 strings at once. So let's just take a look at that. First finger is on the root, the low G, and then your ring finger is on the D, 5th fret of the A string. Then my pinky is stretching out to the 7th fret of the A string. Four chord, just move everything down a string to the A string and the D string. Pinky goes to the 7th fret of the D string. The D is just the same thing you're playing on the C, moved up a full step. Okay. Now, there's often a quick change. The quick change is a term we use in blues where the first 2 bars are normally just played on the 1. A quick change means that the 2nd bar quickly changes to the 4. So a quick change rhythm and that type of shuffle, that type of lump is going to sound like this. 2, 3, 4. There's your quick change. And then you're back to the 1 for 2 bars. 2 bars on the 4. 2 more bars on the 1. 1 bar on the 5. 1 bar on the 4. Turn around. Here's the quick change again. Okay, so if you're playing those movable 7th chords, say Muddy's bands usually had 3 guitars in them. Muddy on guitar, and then there were 2 other guitar players. And the 2 other guitar players, one of them would focus on the bottom end rhythm like this, and the other guitar player would often play the movable 7th chords. So would Muddy a lot. So it's interesting to listen how the 3 guitars interact. So we're going to play that rhythm now using the movable D7 shape. So that's a quick change on the... So that's using the G7 down to a G flat or an F sharp 7. Now when it goes to the 4 chord, we're going to talk about another movable chord shape, another movable 7th that's very important in the blues, and that's the movable A7. So open A, the way you want to play your 7th chord in most blues is to add bar with your index finger and then add the high E string on the 3rd fret for your 7th. That's a movable chord, okay? There's your open A7 moved up to the 7th and 8th fret, becomes a D7. Move it up another 2 frets, a full step. That's an E7. There's your D7, and I walked into the E7. So a nice pattern to practice using the 2 different forms of the movable 7th chords we've just talked about, the movable D7 and the movable A7. In the key of G, your movable D7 is going to be here. Now we want to go to the 4 chord using the movable A7 chord. The 4 chord of G is C, so that movable A7 chord in the key of C, the C7 is going to be at the 5th and 6th fret. So we're going to combine If you listen to the original Muddy version from 1953, you'll hear one of the guitar players, probably Jimmy Rogers, playing those movable 7th chords using the open D7, using the open A7. On the quick change, stay with the movable D7. But when it goes to the 4 chord, use the movable A7 in the key of C. Movable D7. So that's your D7 using the movable A7. Hope I'm not confusing you too much, but D7, C7, and your movable G7 there. I'd like to talk about another rhythm to play instead of just playing this straight. Often in Muddy Waters songs, you will hear the guitar double a bass line and play a slight variation on this that'll sound like. Let's talk about that, just that basic kind of shuffle pattern that you hear bass players do a lot, especially on swinging shuffles, boogie-woogie shuffles at a faster tempo. So I'm kind of combining some of those notes, incorporating some of those notes into this rhythm pattern. Now I'm going to do. I dislocated my pinky playing football in high school, and sometimes it gets stuck. Classic Muddy Waters turnaround is, you hear that a lot on his slow blues, and you can use it in a tune like Blow Wind Blow. The way you find that turnaround, play your G bar chord, lose the bar, lose your pinky, and you're left with the 5th of the G and the major 3rd. It's basically the shape of an open E7th chord. Just walking it up chromatically. Resolve to a 7th chord. So let me just slow down that variation on the rhythm. I'll show you that. So I want to talk about adding a note that you would normally stretch your pinky out to in the open position. In the bar chord position, get that note. You can get it by barring the 3rd fret. It's this note. So that's the 7th of the rhythm in G. So there it is on the C. So in a tune like Blow Wind Blow, 2, 3, 4. So let me just take I'm going to combine now the melody, the head, with the rhythm. 2, 3, ah. The melody with the rhythm. 1, 2, 3. Muddy would often always resolve his turnarounds when he's playing single notes instead of just add this note. It sounds a lot tougher. I'm at the 6th fret on the low E string with my pinky, and then walking up to the 5. So in context from the 5, okay, I think you have a lot of nice parts of Blow Wind Blow to work on. I encourage you to play along with the recordings. It's a great way to work on your time, work on your rhythm, and play along with Muddy Waters. Hi, this is Dave Specter with Chicago Blues Camp. Thanks so much for checking out the lessons, and please subscribe to our channel. And I hope you'll also please join me for our Zoom video sessions.